Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today is January 17th, 2026. If you've been paying any attention to the automotive world lately, you might feel like you've walked into your own living room. But someone rearranged all the furniture while you were asleep.
Yeah,
Feels familiar, but everything is just slightly off.
disorienting is the word I would use. We're living through this fascinating kind of messy limbo between the combustion era and the fully electric future.
And the result is some truly wild engineering.
Exactly.
And to help us make sense of this chaos, we're digging into a brand new ranking from the team over at Rev Review. They've just dropped their list of the top 7 cars of 2026. Now, usually when we see these top 7 lists, they're pretty predictable. You know, a fast Ferrari, a sensible Honda, maybe the latest Tesla. This list is not that.
Not at all. It's incredibly polarized. It really captures a specific tension in the market right now.
I mean, we're talking about a price spread here that is frankly ludicrous. The list starts at around $58,000 for a sensible executive sedan and rockets, all the way up to $2.1 million for a limited run collector's item.
But that massive spread tells the real story of 2026. On one hand, you have this sort of democratization of luxury tech that used to be exclusive to six-figure limousines.
Now in a mid-range car.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, at the same time, on the other end, you have the last stand of the ultra-expensive gas-guzzling dinosaurs.
It feels like the manufacturers are having a full-blown identity crisis.
I'd call it a reinvention, born of necessity. Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack that. How are these heritage brands companies with 100 years of history twisting themselves into new shapes to stay relevant?
We're seeing body styles we don't recognize.
And engines we thought were dead, and interior tech that borders on sci-fi.
So we're going to toss out the standard 7-to-1 countdown. Instead, we're going to group these cars by vibe. We'll start with the ones that are completely breaking the mold, the weird ones. Then we'll look at the tech sanctuaries, the cars designed to disconnect you. And we'll finish with the ones fighting to keep the soul of driving alive.
I like that structure. It helps us see the strategy behind the metal.
Let's dive straight into the deep end then, breaking the mold. And we have to start with the Car Revy Review W, ranked at number 4. I genuinely thought this was a typo when I first read it. The Range Rover sedan.
It feels wrong just to say it out loud, doesn't it? Range Rover sedan.
Feels illegal. For decades, Range Rover has meant box on wheels. It's about conquering muddy hills, high ground clearance, a commanding view. Why on earth are they making a sedan?
Well, it is a massive gamble, but if you look at the engineering reality of 2026, it's a calculated one. It all comes down to aerodynamics.
Right.
As everyone pushes toward electrification, physics becomes your biggest enemy. Dragging a big, upright, boxy SUV through the air just destroys your battery range.
So the wind tunnel killed the boxy shape.
Essentially, yes. If Range Rover wants to compete on efficiency and range, they have to lower the roofline. You just can't push a brick through the air efficiently enough anymore.
Okay, functionality dictating form, I get it. But does it actually look like a Range Rover? Or does it just look like a generic luxury car with a badge slapped on it?
Surprisingly, the source material says they kept the DNA. Rever Review highlights a very vertical grille and that signature wide stance. It doesn't look like a sports car. It looks like a fortress that's been lowered.
Interesting.
They've also integrated a full-width LED light bar on the rear, which is the trend, but it works to widen the visual profile.
Okay, but here's my hang-up. If I'm buying a Range Rover, I want to feel like I can drive over a curb if I need to. Does this thing have any real capability, or is it purely a pavement princess?
It's largely for the boardroom, not the bog. That powertrains are serious, though. RevReview notes a 3.0-liter turbo inline-six pushing 395 horsepower. That's your base.
Okay.
But the one that really matters for this discussion is the plug-in hybrid, the PHEV. That one bumps you to 510 horsepower. But more importantly, it offers about 50 miles. That's 80 kilometers of pure electric range. For most executive commutes, this is an EV. You only burn gas on a long weekend.
That 50-mile number seems to be the new benchmark. A few years ago it was maybe 20 miles.
Battery density has improved significantly.
Yeah.
And tech-wise, they're throwing everything at this. Augmented reality navigation, level 2, plus semi-autonomous driving. It's positioned as a road rover.
At a starting price of $95,000, climbing to over $120,000 for that hybrid, it has to be dominant. It's just fascinating to see a brand stretch that far. It's like seeing a heavyweight boxer trying to do ballet.
Brand elasticity at its absolute limit.
Now, if the Range Rover is a brand trying to mutate into something new, the car at number 7 on the list is a brand doubling down on its past before it says goodbye. We're talking about the Bentley Mulliner Batour.
The swan song.
We have to get a price out of the way immediately. It makes my eyes water. $2.1 million.
Astronomical.
You could buy a nice house, a boat, and a fleet of those Range Rover sedans. What exactly is Bentley selling here?
You're buying a piece of history. Specifically, you're buying the end of the W12 engine.
Let's pause on that, the W12. For our listeners who aren't engineering nerds, what makes this engine so special? Why not just use a V12 like everyone else?
It's a packaging marvel. So a V12 is 2 banks of 6 cylinders in a V shape. It's very long, needs a massive hood.
Right.
A W12 is basically 2 narrow-angle V6 engines mashed together on one crankshaft. It forms a W shape. It's incredibly compact for its displacement, which lets Bentley pack massive power into a shorter space.
That is complex.
Extremely. And heavy. And it produces this relentless, locomotive-like wave of torque you just don't get from anything else. But in the age of efficiency, it's a dinosaur. This car is its meteor.
And the numbers the dinosaur's putting up are terrifying. 740 horsepower.
And 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. Keep in mind, this is a car lined with wood and leather that probably weighs as much as a small bank vault.
It tops out at 208 miles per hour. Where are you even driving 208 miles per hour?
Nowhere. It's pure bragging rights. It's about knowing you could. But the irony of the Batour is the design. You have this archaic, massive engine, but the exterior styling, the headlights, the grille, is actually a preview of Bentley's electric future.
So it's a bridge. The heart of the past wearing the face of the future.
Precisely. And the customization is what justifies the price. The report mentions sustainable leather, which feels a bit ironic.
In a 12-cylinder car, yeah.
But then they mention the gold options, 3D printed, 18-karat gold. They can create these intricate lattice structures you literally couldn't make with traditional methods.
Wow. It really highlights the split in the market. Range Rover is saying, we have to change everything to survive.
And Bentley is saying, we're going to die, so let's throw the biggest, most expensive party possible before we go.
And charge $2 million for the cover. Okay. Let's come down from the stratosphere. Most of us aren't cross-shopping multi-million-dollar coupes. Let's talk about the modern executive daily drivers, the cars that have to actually work.
The bread and butter of the luxury market.
At number 6, Revy Review has the Volvo S90, and at number 2, the Audi A6. These two are fighting a very interesting war.
They are, both in that $58,000 to $78,000 bracket, which is highly competitive. But their philosophies are completely different.
Let's start with the Volvo. Rev Review calls it a Scandinavian sanctuary.
Volvo has always been about reduction, calming things down. For 2026, they're leaning heavily into Level 3 autonomous driving.
We hear Level 3 thrown around a lot. Can you clarify what that actually means for the driver? Level 2 means you still have to pay attention, right?
Exactly. Level 2 is hands-off, eyes-on. You're still responsible. Level 3 is hands-off, eyes-off in specific conditions, like a traffic jam. The car takes responsibility.
Oh, wow.
That is the key distinction. If the car crashes in Level 3 mode, technically the manufacturer is liable.
That is a huge leap in confidence for Volvo.
It fits their safety brand perfectly. They're saying, we're so safe, we'll do the driving for you. Combine that with the Google built-in infotainment on a 15-inch screen. The car becomes a mobile living room. It's about giving you your time back.
And the powertrain supports that. A hybrid and a full EV with, 370 miles of range. It sounds very rational.
Rational is the word. Now, contrast that with the Audi A6 at number 2. If Volvo is a sanctuary, the Audi is a command center.
The report calls it a radical digitization.
Audi is betting that luxury equals screens. They've implemented a triple-screen digital cockpit.
Triple screens, so dashboard, center stack, and one for the passenger.
Yes, it creates a wall of glass across the front. It's impressive, but you have to ask, is it overwhelming?
That's my question. At night, with the ambient lighting and 3 screens glowing, does it feel like a luxury car or like a gaming PC?
For a certain demographic, that is luxury. They want maximum connectivity. They don't want to disconnect. They want to hyperconnect.
And under the hood.
Similar strategy to Volvo turbos, V6s, and a standout plug-in hybrid that gets about 60 miles of electric range. But the focus here is really on the interface.
So Volvo says luxury is the absence of stress, and Audi says luxury is the presence of information.
That's a perfect way to put it.
But if we want to see the ultimate expression of this tech-heavy luxury, we have to talk about the car that took the #1 spot, the champion, the BMW 7 Series.
This car is trying to do everything all at once. It's the Swiss Army knife of the ultra-rich.
The feature that grabbed me immediately is in the back seat. The optional 31-inch panoramic theater screen.
It is wild. It just folds down from the roof lining.
31 inches. That's bigger than the TV I had in my first apartment.
It stretches across the entire width of the cabin. It's 8K resolution. And when you activate it, the sunshades close, the lights dim. It transforms the car into a private cinema.
But what about the platform? I know BMW is doing this power of choice strategy. How does that work with the 7 Series?
This is the engineering marvel Revy review focused on. Unlike Mercedes, which built a separate platform for their EVs, BMW built one chassis, the Calais R platform, that can handle a gas engine, a plug-in hybrid, or a massive battery for the fully electric i7.
That sounds like it would have to be a compromise.
Yeah.
Usually, if you try to make something do everything, it does nothing well.
That was the fear. The industry thought it was a mistake, but the reviews suggest they pulled it off. You can get the 760i with a twin-turbo V8 or the electric i7 with 650 horsepower, and the luxury experience is identical.
And the driving dynamics. It's supposed to be the ultimate driving machine. A car with a TV in the back sounds like the ultimate riding machine.
They're trying to bridge that gap with tech. Adaptive air suspension and rear-wheel steering. Rear-wheel steering is crucial here.
Why is that so important?
At low speeds, the rear wheels turn the opposite direction of the front. It effectively shortens the wheelbase, making this massive limousine turn like a smaller sedan.
Okay.
Then, at high speeds, they turn in the same direction for stability.
So it shrinks around you when you drive and expands into a lounge when you sit in the back.
That's the pitch. And for $99,000 to $150,000, it bridges the gap between the Audis and the Bentleys of the world.
Okay, so we've covered the tech sanctuaries, the lounges, the rolling computers. But there is a segment of the audience screaming right now, I don't want to watch a movie. I want to drive.
The enthusiasts. Don't worry, segment 4 is for you. Performance and passion.
Let's look at number 5, the Maserati Levante.
The Italian answer to 2026.
Maserati always occupies this weird space. It's not quite Ferrari, but it's more emotional than the Germans. Review calls it ferocity and elegance.
The Levante is fascinating because of its price spread. It's huge. You can get a base model for roughly $147,000 or the top trim for $346,000.
Wait, a $200,000 delta? That's an entire Porsche 911 between the bottom and top of the same model range. What justifies that?
The engine. The base GT hybrid is a 4-cylinder. It's for people who want the badge. But the flagship Trofeo, that has a 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8.
A Ferrari-derived V8, right?
Historically, yes. It's supercar performance in an SUV body. You're paying for the noise. You're paying for the Trident badge and the fact that it isn't a German car. It's flawed, it's expensive, but it has soul.
Soul's expensive these days. But speaking of soul, the car ranked number 3 is the one that actually made me smile the most. It's small, it's angry, and I can't believe we're saying this in 2026. It has a manual transmission.
The BMW M2.
In a world of level 3 autonomy and theater screens, BMW is still building a small coupe with a stick shift. Is this just fan service?
It is 100% fan service, and thank goodness for it. The M2 is the total antithesis of the 7 Series. It uses the S58 engine, that's the 3.0-liter twin-turbo inline-6.
The legendary engine block at this point.
It is bulletproof. It puts out 480 horsepower. In a car this size, that is a riot. 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds.
With that manual option, that actually slows the car down, doesn't it? An automatic shifts faster than a human.
Technically, yes. The 8-speed auto is faster on paper. But buying an M2 isn't about lap times. It's about engagement. It's about the mechanical connection. It forces you to be part of the process.
The cockpit is described as driver-focused, carbon fiber, curved display, but it sounds tight.
It is. It's not a lounge. It's a cockpit. It fits like a glove. And at $68,000 to $70,000, it's arguably the best bang for your buck on this entire list if you actually like driving.
It's almost comforting to know you can still buy a car that asks you to do the work.
It's a dying breed, which makes it all the more valuable.
So looking at this whole list, Range Rover sedans, W12 Bentleys, self-driving Volvos, and manual BMWs, what is the big picture for 2026?
I see 3 distinct trends clashing. First, hybridization as the standard. It's no longer special. It's the baseline. Everything has a battery involved.
Right. The binary of gas versus electric is gone.
Second is the screen war. The interior is becoming more important than the exterior. As cars drive themselves more, the battleground shifts to entertainment. Manufacturers are fighting for your attention.
We're moving from horsepower to processing power.
And finally, brand elasticity. Companies are terrified of being pigeonholed. Range Rover is making sedans. BMW is making electric limos and manual sports cars at the same time. They're trying to be everything to everyone.
Feels like they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks.
It is, and for the consumer, that's a good thing. It means more choices than ever before.
Which brings us to the question I want to leave you with today. We're looking at a future where a Volvo can drive you to work, and a BMW can turn your back seat into a movie theater.
It forces us to ask, what is a car even for?
Exactly. Is the joy of driving becoming a niche hobby, something reserved for the M2 owners and collectors? Or are we all slowly accepting that for 90% of the time, we'd rather just be passengers?
Are we drivers or are we cargo?
Think about that the next time you're stuck in traffic, wishing you had a 31-inch TV dropping from your ceiling. And seriously, go Google the Range Rover sedan. It will break your brain a little bit.
It's definitely worth a look.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive into the automotive landscape of 2026. We'll see you next time.